Hey guys, I want to go ahead and pick up with the example of expressions and how to evaluate an expression. So remind yourself that an expression has no equal sign. So this is just going to consist of letters and numbers, okay? For example, I can have the expression AB. I can have the expression 4B over 2. I can have an expression that looks like 3B minus 4A. And these are all versions of expressions that I can go ahead and turn around and evaluate these expressions, which is what I want to do. Now, I'm not allowed to evaluate any of these until I'm given the actual values of A and B. So it would look something like this. Evaluate if A equals 2 and what if B equals 6. Now that you have those guidelines, you can go in and you can replace the letters with those values. So if A is 2 and B is 6, then I get 2 times 6, and the value of this would be 12. Next up would be 4 times B. Well, B is 6 divided by 2. So 4 times 6 is 24 divided by 2 gets me 12. And really, I should not be using equal signs. I should be using the arrows, which means that the work is proceeding because it's not an equation, no equal signs. Up next would be 3B, so 3 times 6 minus 4 times 2, and that's going to give me 18 minus 8, which is going to give me 10, and that would be my final answer. Now, if you're wondering where 2 and 6 came from, I just want to let you know I gave those to you. Those will be provided. Those were something that the problem produced for us. It wasn't something we had to go and solve for. There was no magic work that came from it. It was something that already was done for us, which is awesome. Now, if I was dealing with an equation, as a reminder from the first part of the note, an equation is involving an equal sign. So I'm going to have an equation like y equals 2x plus 3 or x minus 2y equals 4. Something like those, which by the way, this is just a small sample of how many equations exist out in our world or in our field. So these are just two very easy examples to talk about. This one, I could solve for x. It's already solved for y. So do you see how it says y equals and those sets of numbers and letters? That means it's already solved for y. My alternative would be to actually solve it for x, which means I'd have to try to get x by itself. For example, if I wanted to solve this one for y, I'd be like, oh, okay, let's do that. And I'm going to start by moving this x out of the way because my job is to isolate the y, meaning to get it all by itself. So I'm going to move the x. And of course, what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. That 4 is positive, so I'm going to show that it's positive. Last step that I need to take, I still don't have y by itself. I do have y as the only term on one side, but now I need to get it by itself. And the thing that's stopping it is this -2, and it's being held on with multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that multiplication with division. And again, what I do to one side, I must do to the other. Now, please don't forget to divide both terms, or however many terms are on that side. Okay, so we get y equals a negative and a negative will give me positive 1/2 x. A negative and a positive is going to give me -2. This would be solved for y. And that would be done. We would be done. That's as far as we can go. We could only actually evaluate it if I told you what x was or if I told you what y was, and then we could figure out what the other values are. So there's that side. And the last part of what we're going to do is we're going to turn words, sentences, into mathematical sentences. So we're going to actually use those to provide us with numbers, and we're going to do something with those. I want to go ahead, I hope this is something that you guys have done before. Sorry, I lost my page. Bear with me. Okay, so the parts that we're going to work on next are going to be taking these sentences and turning them into expressions for us. So we're going to look at something like it says, the sum of a number and 2. So an example, the sum of a number and 2. Part of what we need to do and what we're going to work on in our groups in class is identify which one of these things tell us what one of the 4 commands we need to perform in mathematics. And the 4 commands are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Every problem is held together with these things. So the sum, that's going to be one of those important vocabulary words, of a number, something to take out, and 2. When you get something that says a number and they don't tell you what the number is, that is where you insert your variable. So let's take this up. A sum means addition. A number, let's call it x, and 2. The sum of a number and 2. That's what we're going to be working on. And a part of what, I'm not going to go over the vocab because that's what you and your groups are going to do. So I just want to introduce you, and again, this should be like a refresher for your brain. How about a number divided by 11? A number divided by 11. Divided by, that's our command. A number, that's our variable. So if we split that, this should be our variable, and then division, and then 11. Now that's old school mathematics. You're in big boy mathematics. So I want you to go ahead and translate this to say a number divided by 11. And that's what I should be looking for. Okay, I want to give you a couple of problems for yourself to type in. So this will be your response to this video. How about 12 added to 3 times a number? 12 added to 3 times a number. Answer that. And then let's go twice the sum of a number and 3. Twice the sum of a number and 3. That's your second one. You will post those 2 answers as a submission on Schoology. The next thing that you're going to bring to class tomorrow is a question. From either video, I would like a question. These questions are going to be shared some way, somehow in class tomorrow so we can have it a part of our group discussion and make sure everybody's on the same page. Then you're going to get into your groups and we'll start working further on these and see what you know and what you don't know, what was helpful and wasn't helpful in these videos. So again, you have 2 problems to answer. If you didn't hear them, please rewind and replay them. And then you have 1 question to bring to class tomorrow. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.